first with them dragging the lady out. Do you remember the name?
It's New London. It's one of the New London
woman taken from home. Woman.
Yeah. Costello. It's Costello.
I interviewed them many times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. New London, Connecticut, Costello family.
Yeah. And they show her dragging her out of the house, and it's probably one of the most shocking YouTubes I've ever seen.
We're going to find that before you go, but right now, let's play the trailer to Begging for Billionaires. Not enough for these pigs and they are pigs, to run our lives. They've got to have it all. They've got to have it now. Here it is.
Just woke up from the American dream.
Some of our elected officials are undermining our constitutional rights in the name of
hear the word
big
eminent
business.
domain, it's understood that they don't have the assets to fight it.
You know, once they put
the funny thing he says.
Well, let's hit pause. You're as bad as I am.
Because,
back it up. Let's start it over when I'm not reading the text for people on the radio, and when you're not. You know what? I'm sorry. You thought we were off air. I was reading the subtitles here. Let's start it over. I want folks to see this watching on PrisonPlanet.tv and listening on the radio. Here it is.
Just woke up from the American dream. We can't afford to fight your power.
When people hear the word eminent domain, it's understood that they don't have the assets to fight it.
You know, once they put the gun on me, we didn't have a choice. Because, you know, the law is on their side, not our side.
So just imagine if every tree, every view, every familiar touch that your family had ever known for 80 years was going to be destroyed by a developer for a planned project.
It's been nothing but a nightmare where you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't even begin to function right because of all the harassment, the threats.
To our knowledge, there were never any problems with our property. They just coveted it, and they were going to take it.
We've always had eminent domain for public works, for roads, for bridges, for schools, for streets. But the idea that we would take private property away from one person and give it to another private interest, that's a new idea.
Those that have power, those that have the ability to influence what happens in City Hall are the ones that are going to profit from it. That is exactly what our founding fathers were trying to prevent when the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution was added to the Bill of Rights.
You simply couldn't stop it. We couldn't stop it. And it didn't matter how beneficial and substantial and established our presence was, we could not stop it.
Take what's ours and make it theirs. Hey, everyone, nobody cares.
There's the mural that the city was trying to tell them they didn't have a First Amendment right to, and it just gets worse and worse. For those watching and listening to that, tell us a little bit about the people in the trailer. You were telling me particularly about the black fella, something that happened to him.
Yeah, well, he's the spokesperson. He basically explains different things through the whole documentary, and he has had a bunch of homes that he bought to redo. And he's a former city council member, Richard Tobert. And every time he goes against the mayor, they would come in the middle of the night and tear down his house. And with all his stuff in it, his furniture, his personal belongings, and one time the demolition guy called him and let him come in to take out his property. And he talks about his property and everything. But the best story he tells, and I think it's the best piece in the documentary, is the Reverend Ike story. I don't know if you know about Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike was a black preacher in the 30s who would tell people that you're too poor to have money. Send me your money and watch me enjoy it, and I will sell you a prayer cloth. And what he's saying, Richard, is you're too poor to pay for an entertainment district or a arena, which was part of the redevelopment section. Both of them were where Daryl Penner was. And
they always use taxpayer money to build those as well.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. That is total bond fraud, which we didn't cover in the documentary because it was too complex. but basically it's a Ponzi scheme with the city because those bonds never get paid off.
I'll tell you what, stay there. Final segment. We got to have you back. When we come back, let's tell folks about some of the bond fraud and more about the film Begging for Billionaires, the attack on private property rights in America. You see, folks, they're attacking the Second Amendment, 5th, 10th. Everything's being attacked. We'll be right back. Okay, folks, the website is beggingforbillionaires.com. My website's infowars.com. Don't forget our films, Endgame, Terror Storm, Road to Tyranny, Truth Rising, the new one, The Obama Deception, showing what a fraud this guy is. Richard Gage is coming up for 30 minutes with all big developments there on the fact that all these physicists and engineers are coming out. Peer-reviewed journals saying 9/11 was clearly an inside job with the towers blown to kingdom come by whoever did it. I guess the cave dwellers did it. So that is coming up. And I'll get into Glenn Beck coming out with the MIAC report, the DHS report saying, yes, militias, gun owners, they do work with Al-Qaeda. They need to all basically be arrested. That's your patriot. That's your, I mean, this guy is such a snake. But listen, I want to have you back. How do folks go to the New Braunfels Texadance Film Festival?
It's right up there on our website. They can click on and get the information. It's right on our website there on the bottom. Mm-hmm. They could click on and buy tickets, and it gives the address and everything of where the theater is.
Good. When can we get this on DVD? How long till there's a DVD release? Because I'd like to carry the film.
About a year and a half, probably.
Yeah, I mean, the regular film process, for those that don't know, that say, put it in theaters, Alex, with my stuff, you have to go through this circuitous route of getting all these awards, then sell it, get it in art houses, the small theaters, maybe get big ones, but then if you get a hit, it's a hit. I think this film should end up being as big as Enron, Smartest Guys in the Room, or something like that.
That's what happened with Russo, with fascism. What was it?
America, Freedom of Fascism. Yeah, we carry that.
It went into the theaters for a little bit, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, my experience is, I mean, look at Terminator Salvation. Big company, $200 million budget, it's a flop. I mean, even big, huge companies, most of their stuff's a failure. I mean, take Scanner Darkly. Now, it made its $9 million budget back and then some, but still wasn't a big success. I think total it's made like $30 million or something. And the stars basically work for free. Keanu Reeves and all that, they'd usually get $20 million more than the budget to be in something like Scanner Darkly. But that was a love affair film they made. So, but side issue. I think I was paid $600 to be in that film.
Oh, you were?
And I offered to do it for free. Yeah. And Rick Linklater said, no, you gotta.
But I just want to
let Taft-Hartley into this film. You have to be in it.
Just to let audiences know that the reason why I made this film, and I think it's important, is after Kilo, the media is basically part of the problem with the corruption. I just had a thing with Clay Chastain where I went after a media guy for the Kansas City Star. Kansas City Star is probably one of the biggest forms of corruption in Kansas City because they basically are in the pockets of developers and the downtown council, the Chamber of Commerce, and any activist who...
We've had security guards on the side of the sidewalk in Kansas City tell my cameraman they're not allowed to be on the sidewalk. I mean, it's like they're God.
Yeah. Well, actually, that happened in downtown. When we're making this film, I went in the Power and Light District, which is downtown where they took out Penner's building, right actually across from Penner building, and security guards told me that I could not film on this property. Not only that their buildings, you're going to love this, were copyrighted, and I could not film the building.
Oh, I know. In New York City, the cops walk out and go, you got to have permission to film this building. I go, First Amendment. All right, take him to the department. What do you think, this is a free country, punk? We run things now. I mean, literally, it's And I've had Austin cops come up and tell me that we can't protest or can't have video cameras. And I go, look, I'm going to have to sue you personally if you take me to jail. And I go, you'll beat the rap, but you won't beat the ride. And they back off. But the fact is, how do they get cops to think we are slaves?
I think it's a mentality that of their training, and I think one of the things I've always said when I see cop beatings and all this stuff, that the cops need to go back to school and be taught a whole course on First Amendment rights. They should actually have a First Amendment.
But the system doesn't want them to know.
No, you're absolutely right.
You know what? Let's do a few more minutes, then Richard Gage is going to come up at the gate after, because I want to talk about a few of the other stories, a jam-packed film, and we are talking to the director and executive producer, Philip Klein, Begging for Billionaires, the attack on property rights, and get the Obama deception, too.